Any other instances where people tried to lowball you for like the artists themselves or anything?
Um, well, not for tracks, but for for loops and like just records, like samples. Um, and I was surprised at this one because it was Steve Stoute. That guy used to come to my house. Uh, Listen, he used to eat with my family, take off his shoes. You know what I'm saying? Video games, whatever. Watch TV. Um, and one day we're in the basement. I start playing him. He goes, "Hey, you know what? I'll get you paid." He was starting to manage the track masters, and he says, "I'll give you $150 for every sample that you give them." I was like, "150?" I was like, "I'm not doing that." I said, "That's all right. Let them find their own things. I'm sure they'll be fine."
$150, that's it?
So $150 for every sample.
That's crazy, man. Come on, Steve Stoute.
Yeah,
Come on, you got more money
yeah,
than
I know.
that. Come on, bro.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it was just when he's trying, like he's just kind of, so he's probably trying to get in good with them or whatever it was. But you're not gonna do it on, on my, you know, uh, on my back.
What's even more crazy though is
So
that because that you guys had a rapport prior to that though. So like why would you
yeah, yeah, that makes it, yeah, it does make it crazy. Yeah, why would you do that? Why would you do that when I know you and you know what
you
I'm
ate with my
capable of?
family and
Yeah. And then he's I'll show him tracks. He goes, "Oh, I like that track, but it's EQ'd wrong because I want it for R&B and it's got more of a hip hop EQ." I'm like, "So what? We can fix that." So now you just want me to hand over the sample?
Wow.
Yeah, you know, it's but then again,
Can I ask you this? Because it seems to me the vibe that I'm receiving is that the industry kind of left you with a little bit of a sour taste in certain regards.
yeah, no, you got the vibe. I mean, it did, it did. Um, it just feels, it. Listen, when in my mind, when I make some music that I love, you feel like you have $1 million in your pocket. You feel like $1 million, right? It's like nothing can tell you any different. Nobody can tell you any different. Um, but yes, it did leave a very sour taste in my mouth. After, but this is stepping back, analyzing it, um, and not mad at anybody. I've made my decision to say, hey, you know what? Um, I'm better off without it. And even when I was doing the stuff for production, right? The music for production, I was like, wow, this is great. You don't have to work with any artist. I just hand it in. It may not be as much pay, but but I see my royalties, right? And I don't
The
have,
business is right.
yeah, the business is better. Yeah, again, there's not the advances or anything like that was nothing in comparison, but it was peace of mind.
And
Peace
peace
of
of
mind.
mind is
And
priceless, man. It's priceless.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So so that's, to me that was once I started doing that and I was trying to convince younger kids to do it, they were like, no, it wasn't sexy enough for them. They wanted to work with people like 50 or whatever. Like, oh, can you get this to 50? I'm like, yeah, but you can do this and that. They're like, they don't want to hear that. Like, I'm not trying to hear that. I want to work with artists.
I feel like, you know, I don't know. I mean, I just feel like at a certain point, you just kind of get tired of all the bullshit, right? Because when you first start out, it seemed like you started from such a pure and innocent place. It's a labor of love. So,
Hmm.
it's like it's just perfect. You know what I'm saying? And then when the money starts to come into it, then you start to notice the politics, the bullshit, having to put up with like the difficult
Yeah,
personalities and just, like it's a lot of barriers almost, to to coming to create, the
yeah.
art.
No, it is. It is. Listen, I love, like, okay. Funny thing is, right? So I go on IG. I don't follow any artists. It's almost like despise following any of these hip hop artists, new, old, whatever. You know, um, I just want to hear music, right? And coming from that place, as you mentioned, coming from an innocent place where I just want to do music. It's not about a dollar. The money comes, right? Comes into play, and that's when all the shadiness comes in. And I think it's just overall a human element, right? And I don't care if it's family, not family. You know, you'll hear family fighting over inheritance, and that's
Right.
family, right? Blood. So imagine an industry where is vampires, literally vampires sucking the blood of you. It's tiring.
Nothing is what it seems.
It's tiring. No, no, it's not. I don't care what anyone tells you. You know, um, I think, you know, uh, my mind is creative. I have a creative mind in many ways. Um, and I just think of other things. It's just learning how to do that, right? Everything is learning. I learned how to use a machine. I was so passionate. I bought that MPC 60. I didn't have YouTube. I didn't have anyone I could call. Hey, how do I do this? Nah, man, I didn't have anything. First time using something like that. I figured it out. There was certain things I couldn't figure out, whether it was the MIDI. Man, I remember laying in my bed like, damn, how do I get the keyboard to work with it? And waking up 7 o'clock in the morning, grabbing the manual that I didn't read to learn how to use this, going straight to the page, reading that, figuring. I said, I got it. Running to the equipment, trying it out, and it working. So that's the kind of passion. No one's was handing me any money. I was just learning all these things on my own, and it was a peaceful thing. I was learning, right? So, you know, you take times like, instances like that, and you treasure it.
Right.
Even just learning things that weren't in the manual. That was, things like that, and it's small. It's satisfying to me. You know, uh, I remember the MP when you started off a 2-inch reel, it wouldn't sync up right away. So your first two bars, whatever, would be a mess. You hear the drum, everything just sounds like an entire mess. And then then it comes around, once it came around, then everything went straight into place. So but all your reels would start messed up. I remember showing, the people at Power Play Anton. I don't know if you know ever heard of Anton Pishansky. Anyway, he was like the head engineer over there, or one of the top engineers. And he was like, "What are you doing?" Yelling at me. And so I said, "Listen, if it doesn't work, I've done this at home already. If it doesn't work, we'll rewind it and start it again. Don't worry, I'm paying for the session." Okay, it worked. Next thing you know, next time I go, another session, and I'm setting up my stuff. And the engineer, first time I worked with this particular engineer, and he tells me, "Hey, he's trying to tell me what to do." I said, "That's my trick. I said, I showed Anton that. I'm sure he showed it. He says, oh, everybody here is doing it now. I said, yeah. I said, well, yeah. I said, well, I came up with that. So it's just things like that, man, that it's just innocent, creative, that you're not making anything off of is satisfying.
Right. It's a personal
And
satisfaction
again, like you said,
that there's no
yeah,
money
it's a personal
involved, right?
satisfaction. Yeah, there's no money involved. Zero. But people appreciate it.
Right.